further is a world far beyond our own, yet it's all around us, a place without time as we know it. It's a dark realm, filled with the tortured souls of the dead, a place not meant for the living. That's where Dalton is.
Jason is my son, and today is his birthday. You can have dinner with us. My brother makes good head cheese. Candyman, I get cheese. Candyman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hello and welcome to Two Guys, One Necronomicon, a weekly horror review podcast where we talk about all things horror. We talk about your cult classics to your modern day trash, and today we'll be talking about Insidious.
Dare I mention, we have a special guest on today's episode.
Tell them who it is.
It is our producer, Jen Bell. Jen, welcome to Two Guys, One Necronomicon.
I'd call it more like a researching task than producing.
Yeah, I don't know a title, so we're going...
Yeah, we didn't give like an official title, so...
You do most of the work for these episodes, so I just correct you guys and tell you like what you're missing.
I only don't sleep.
This is true. I get most of the sleep because you do all the editing.
That's fair.
You'd think he drank coffee, but he lives on claws. There's one right next to me.
That's my tangerine White Claw.
There's a tangerine.
Oh no.
Only I pronounce words wrong on this podcast.
God. We are your final boys, Brian Hopper LaGrassa and Shane, the most popular kid in school, Smith.
Finally, you gave me an accurate nickname. It's about time.
It's one of the better ones, I think.
I thought you were wearing a Forrest Gump hat, and I was like, yep, you got it.
Well, it is a kind of a Forrest Gump hat because it's a Bubba Gump shrimp, which is from Forrest Gump.
God.
It's the hat I wear every time we record this podcast.
That is true. He actually does. He always wears a hat. Shane's never not wearing a hat.
And you're just going to have to trust us.
Yeah. I actually think I'm in a hat in our Instagram picture.
You are. You cannot be seen without one. It's like, what do you have under there? What are you hiding?
Hair?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's not confirmed.
Well,
you're wearing a hat in the Instagram.
You're just going to have to take our word for it.
That's true.
I do have hair.
So today we are reviewing a very special film, special because it's a James Wan classic. I mean, this guy has directed some bangers. Strictly horror movies. He's never done anything outside of horror. You know, the likes of Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring, Aquaman.
Every single one is horror.
Yeah, there's a shark in Aquaman, right?
There's a horror shark.
It's a scary shark. It's a very scary shark.
It's a ghost shark.
Actually, it's scary because it's a DC superhero movie.
Oh my god. Shaney.
It's finally, we are reviewing a good movie again.
It's been a while. It wasn't the last good movie we reviewed.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, it seems like a long time after doing Truth or Dare and Slender Man.
Well, I feel like this is a big Hollywood movie that delivers because I feel like they don't anymore. And it was made in the last 10 years.
There's so much good about it that went into the writing. Let's get into it because I really want to talk about it.
I agree with you. I'm very giddy.
Okay, so we're jumping right into the spooky pit?
Right into the spooky pit. So this movie is about a married couple who combat evil entities from capturing their child in another plane known as the Further.
Which is a cool idea.
Yeah, an astral plane? That's pretty sick.
Yeah. He's basically an Astro Boy.
Nice.
Because I refer to him as Astro Boy almost every time I wrote down my notes.
When you say Astro Boy, you're talking about Patrick Wilson's character.
Yeah, and his son, the Astro Boy.
The Astro Kid?
Yeah, there you go.
The Astro Guy and the Astro Kid.
He's a child, let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question, just knowing how this movie ends. Spoiler alert. How does somebody get him out of the Further in the beginning?
Who?
Patrick Wilson?
Josh, I think his name is?
Josh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he left like Dalton did. I think he actually always came back. I don't think, in a sense, because this demon obviously holds Dalton hostage, did it to just like quickly sever the tie between him and his body. I think that Josh, a ghost, always let him come back, but just was gaining his trust somehow and getting closer and closer.
Which is why I think, I know we're jumping ahead, they wanted Josh to forget his entire childhood, pretty much. To kind of like sever that link that you're talking about.
To sever all those ties, yeah. And I think that, I think you said it correctly, he definitely wandered too far. I think even Lin Shaye's character, I'll never get her name right. I think it's Elise.
Elise,
Elise, you got it.
Elise mentions that.
I mean, you gotta get the names right, because I'm the one who says names wrong quite often.
And as I will point out to you guys, more towards the end of the movie, I will consistently point out that bride in black never left. She's been there the whole time.
She's creepy.
She is.
I can't wait to tell you guys where she was.
Oh my God.
She pops up and you have no idea it's her.
Really?
Yeah.
She's got great teeth.
I guess she flossed.
She definitely flosses, hanging out in that mirror all day long.
She has a Listerine sponsorship.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't see her teeth. I was just too creeped out by just the rest of her face to really pay attention to the
They're
teeth.
whiter than the rest of her face.
Interesting.
So this movie is classified as a horror mystery thriller. It's definitely scary. This is one of the few, I guess, big budget movies that I feel got the scares right. With jump scares.
It did. It came out around the time, I think a couple of good horror movies were coming out around this time. Like, you had, like, Sinister, this movie, The Conjuring, movies that went to theaters that were actually, like, scary.
Were they all Blumhouse?
Don't know off the top of my head.
No, but a lot of them are James Wan films. Like, Conjuring was James Wan,
Yeah.
and they all just did a fantastic job. You can kind of tell, like, when there's similar people working on films, just because the demons look all in a very similar way. Like, they're all definitely different demons that act differently. And obviously, like, Lipstick Face doesn't look anything like any of the other demons, but, like, the Bride in Black, I think, is comparable to the witch from Conjuring.
You have the appropriate names for the demons, because when I, like, was looking at this movie and was doing some research, I kind of, it was a lipstick face demon. I just call him Red Guy.
I call him Darth Maul.
Yeah, no, that's what a lot of people said, that they compared him to Darth Maul, but I don't think I included it in my research with you guys, but that face was actually made of lipstick, and the handprint on the sheets in the middle of the movie is also lipstick.
That's sick.
That's awesome. Overall, like, his whole presentation with the red face and, like, the hooves and, like, the long fingers that he sharpens.
Let's get to the demon.
Yes.
Okay, so
We got a long way to go.
Yes, we do.
as I mentioned, this movie is directed by James Wan, who's a really good director. Spoiler alert. This movie stars Patrick Wilson as Josh Lambert,
That's the spoiler alert.
Rose Byrne as Renee Lambert, although I want to point out there's no way you pronounce her name Renee because it's actually Renee, the way it's spelled in the credits.
Oh my god, thank you!
Ty Shimkins as Dalton Lambert. I like to call him Suck Boy because he gets sucked from reality.
I just call him Astro Boy.
I don't really like that name.
Lynn Shay as Elise Rainier, and Barbara Hershey as Lorraine Lambert. And you know Barbara Hershey from The Entity.
Yes, which is another very good possession movie that came out around 1983, I want to say. Would
Yeah.
highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen The Entity to watch that movie. She's the star of that one. It's awesome.
I feel like 2010, though, before we get into this, was a pretty good year for this paranormal theme because I know that Paranormal Activity came out like the year before, and then like The Conjuring came out like 2 or 3 years after this, and it was the same director, so they had a good formula around the early 2010s.
That's what I'm saying. There was some big budget movies that actually were good. So let's just like jump right into this movie.
The scene will open up with a boy who's sleeping. I think we can say he's sleeping. We're gonna go with sleeping.
He's just in his bed.
He's just in his bed, sleeping, as I said. Camera will pan over to a ghostly-looking woman holding a candle.
Yeah, and the movie's very scary.
The opening title hits with this blaring noise, which I thought's really cool.
Love it. It reminds me of, like, it almost reminded me in a way of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, I don't think Friday the 13th had that, like, blaring noise either, but it sounds like something you would have put over the Friday 13th poster, like, if it had noise to it. Like, you imagine that would be the noise that would have been over it.
Terrifying. I actually think you have some notes here about the opening credits of this movie. 33 violins were used.
Yeah, it took 33 violins to make that noise. And do you notice anything else going through, like, because you get like different shots from the house as they're going through the credits. Did you guys notice anything about that?
No.
This is where James Wan is really good at Easter eggs. We'll learn more about these scenes shot of, like, the boy sleeping later. But if you look at all the opening credit scenes from, like, if you look in the window or if you look at everything that moves, there's either a thing in every scene of those opening credits that slightly moves as if a ghost was moving them, or you can actually see the shadow of the woman in every scene.
That's pretty sick. No, I didn't pay that much attention. I should probably go back and...
See, now I kind of want to rewatch like the opening scene and see that.
I seen this movie twice, and the first time I watched it, I just thought it was just going to be a flop. The movie just took me for a surprise, because it was, like, extremely good, because I was kind of done with this idea of paranormal movies. I mean, I've seen Pulse a few years before that, so I'm like, I know this is going to be a piece of shit, and it was actually really good.
I didn't bother. Maybe I should watch Pulse.
Don't
maybe
watch Pulse.
the Japanese version?
I heard the Japanese version is good. Don't watch the American one. Going back now, we cut to, it's a couple sleeping in their bed. The woman wakes up, and the first thing I notice is she's wearing these awesome monkey banana pajamas. Are they Curious George pajamas?
I think so.
Because they're pretty awesome, and I kind of want a pair.
They're really old.
Are they?
Yeah, they're really old.
And if you didn't get it from the opening credits, it looks like they just moved into this house.
Yeah, they did.
Because you have boxes strewn all over the place, and you see, like, portraits of the family. You get the impression that they recently just moved in.
Well, also, as soon as she goes downstairs, the first thing she does is unpack books and put them on the shelf.
This is why we have you on the show.
Exactly. I pay attention to the movie.
You or me. So who wakes up next?
Dalton?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dalton wakes up next in the exact same pajamas.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't either.
I like the matching PJs.
That's awesome. I wish I would have actually noticed
When
that.
are we doing that?
If we ever do a video podcast, we could wear matching pajamas.
What I'm getting you for Christmas now.
The matching pajamas.
Yes.
Awesome.
Love it. Renee notices that the books that she placed in the bookcase were on the floor after she put them on the bookcase, which kind of sets you up already for something weird.
Well,
and
that
fishy's
happens
going on.
after. They kind of have a conversation at first. Like, her and Dalton are just talking, and she's showing them pictures of her and Josh as, like, when they got married, and childhood pictures of hers. And then Dalton wants to see a picture of his dad, but his mom's like, I don't think there are any. I don't have any pictures of your dad.
Yeah, no pictures of his father. I also think that he insults her age in this scene.
He does. He just says you're old. But then when he guesses her age, he does say 21. So...
Oh, honey, she looks 21 in this movie. I know she's trying to look like an adult that's had 3 kids, but she doesn't look like she's had 3 kids.
And then, am I correct in saying
yes,
that
now
Renee...
you are correct.
The baby wakes up first, and then it goes to the kitchen scene.
Books are on the floor when they should be in the bookcase.
Correct.
First odd occurrence in this film.
Because she's looking for something. She's running around the house looking for something, and then she notices that the books are on the floor. But what is she looking for? Her sheet music.
Her sheet music, because she plays...
I've watched this movie 12,000 times.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
She plays the organ or the piano? What are we going with?
I think it's a piano.
I think it's a piano. Organs, I think, are bigger. I should know because I have one, but my sister does music, so we always have had pianos in our house, but I think she's playing the piano. I don't think they're rich enough to have an organ.
Gotcha. At this point, I believe Josh is going to a PTA meeting. So he leaves, and she's left alone to play the piano.
Yes, but the best part about Josh is, I think at this point, he bites into fruit, and it's wax fruit.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know the fruit in his own
The house
house.
is wax.
He's
yeah.
literally not paying attention.
It's pretty funny. Like, it's a good introduction to his character, biting the wax fruit.
Don't hate on wax fruit. You won't get cavities that way.
It's kind of like saying how, like, she's mostly, like, even though he's letting her stay home to work on her music and everything, she's kind of, like, she is the person who runs the house, pretty much. Like, the house wouldn't survive without her.
Well, yeah, because she says, are you bringing the kids to school? And he says, I can't. And he also can't pick up the kids, so she has to do all that, too.
I mean, there's some circumstances that pull him away from work, but you'll know he may even pull some nighters over there. Like, he stays there kind of late.
Yeah, but he's not doing it because of work.
He's not doing it yet, either. Like,
Yeah.
he hasn't started pulling all-nighters.
No, but she does reference that he does it again later on. So he's
But
done
that's
it before.
that's
Yeah.
only after.
Yeah, that's later on,
Yeah.
which she mentions that. So she starts playing the piano, and she starts hearing some crying over the baby monitor.
Correct.
Then she starts hearing noises, kind of like heavy breathing and panting.
She listens to the baby monitor. She does hear the crying, but then she starts to go upstairs. I don't think she goes to the baby, doesn't she? She goes into the attic.
She does go into the attic.
Yeah.
Sure, the noises coming up
That
from
is
the attic.
right. Okay. Something important happens where she touches that ladder, and she breaks the step.
And I think there was a furnace up there or some kind of a fireplace.
It looks like a furnace. It looks like the furnace from Home Alone that Macaulay Culkin is afraid of in his basement, except this one's in the attic.
Do you know what time period this movie takes place? I should have looked it up, but I couldn't find it. But I remember the writer who plays, what's his name? The guy who is one of the ghost hunters. Specs?
Lee Winnell.
Yeah, Lee Winnell. Lee Winnell specifically wrote in, he was one of the writers for this movie, and he specifically wrote in that he wanted the houses that they moved in to be new. None of these houses had previously been lived in. They were all brand new houses. So he didn't want the characters to be able to attach a haunting to this house.
For those who don't know, Lee Winnell and James Wan worked together on Saw.
He was a writer too?
Yes.
They actually wrote the short story of Saw, and then Lee Winnell played Adam in Saw 1.
He likes to write himself into his movies.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam.
Not that I'm complaining. He does a great job.
Well,
No, he does.
he's awesome. I think he just directed 2 years ago the movie Upgrade. Not a horror movie, but an excellent movie.
It's got the guy from The Invitation.
Yes.
Logan Marshall Green,
Yeah.
right?
Cut to Josh coming back home, and he gives his kids some presents,
And one of the presents is a lightsaber.
which he uses to duel Darth Maul at the end of this movie.
I mean, the demon looks enough like Darth Maul. I do actually believe that we see Josh's classroom before we see him coming home. And in the background on the chalkboard, if you pause the movie or pay attention close enough, you see, what's the puppet's name? Billy?
Billy.
Billy the
Saw?
puppet from Saw.
Yeah, it's a reference to Saw, which James Wan worked on with Lee... How do you say Lee's last name?
Winnell, I believe
Lee
it is.
Winnell, yeah. And then, like, throughout the movie, if you pay attention to the chalkboard, you will see, like, the names, like, James Wan and all the other people who worked on the film, which is just a cool little Easter egg that Wan likes to put into his movies.
That's awesome.
It makes me realize I need to pay better attention to the background of movies.
That's correct.
Saw was actually his second movie.
What was his first?
Stygian?
No idea.
Me neither.
Nope.
Alright, moving on. So back to the lightsaber kids. There's one kid playing on the stairs, and one of the doors in the background slowly starts to open behind him. And I think this is where he starts to hear some noises.
And that's Dalton. Dalton's the
Yeah.
one who is being exposed to all of this.
Yeah.
And what's the other one's name? Colton?
Foster's the name of the kid.
Foster.
Foster.
It would be weird if they just named the other one Colton and Dalton. I was like, alright.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was a little too close. But so now we know it's Dalton and Foster. But Dalton's the one who now starts to go into the attic. Downstairs, the wife, this is where she actually mentions that she can't find the sheet music that she packed. She's telling Josh this.
It disappeared into thin air.
I gotta ask, why the emphasis on air?
Shane, air is all around us. Plus, it disappeared into it. He tries to climb the ladder.
Now, the thing is, the mother broke the ladder earlier in the movie.
The thing is, how old is Dalton? And how old were you when you climbed your first ladder?
I'm gonna say probably about 4 or 5. I needed a ladder to get into my attic, and it was probably just left out there, and I probably climbed it as a kid.
Nice, and it was already broken by your mom.
No, because I never fell through a ladder like Dalton's about to.
Yeah, he falls through the ladder.
Yeah. And he hits his head, and he doesn't cry from that. He starts to look at something, right?
Doesn't happen. He hits the ground, hits his head, and then goes into a coma because of it.
Pretty sure he looks at something and sees something and then starts screaming.
I think he momentarily gets knocked out because the camera goes black, which is, I think, symbolizing him knocking out for a brief moment. That Flo was like, yeah, we're gonna take you out real quick.
Yeah, it does fade.
And by the way, he's 12. Make fun of this 12-year-old a little more and how susceptible his brain is to damage at this point.
12-year-old or suck boy.
Can we never call him that again?
Well, he fell down a ladder, so I'm going to call him whatever I want to call him.
Petition to never use the term
Yeah,
sucker boy
I'm
again.
with you on that.
I think he kind of like wakes up from this momentary unconscious episode, and then he hears creaking behind him.
Dawn starts screaming. They were paying attention to Callie. They did not give a shit about their son in that moment until he started screaming.
Yeah, because then they rush upstairs. Josh goes over, and first he's like mad that he's in the attic, and then he's like, are you alright? Making sure. But Renee, she's more concerned that she's found her sheet music.
No, she doesn't notice that till the end.
Oh, that scene? I thought
Yeah,
she notices it right away.
No, because she's
That's
the
right,
one
that's
who
right.
broke the ladder, and she's like, shit, I should have done something about this.
Yeah.
Like, probably that mother instinct thing, like, damn, I should have, like, childproofed this, or, like, locked it or something, which obviously, like, the ghost was going to open it and wanted to hurt that boy. Like, come on, we're susceptible brain damage here. But she does notice the sheet music later, and she's like, how did that get up there?
Yeah, and I think Dalton gets a nice lecture from Father here. You can climb ladders as long as you don't explore in the attic.
Yeah, stay out of the attic. Very simple rule. So then we cut to Josh and Renee having a conversation. And what are they talking about?
Well, they're in the bedroom, right?
Yeah.
They discuss locking doors to the attic.
Exactly.
The hottest piece of conversation this family's had.
Because he can climb ladders as long as they're not in the attic. Loopholes.
And I think you kind of get the hint here. Like I said, they just moved into this house, but they're hoping that this house will be great for them, that things will be good moving forward, things are going to be different.
Yeah, she's hoping it's going to help her, like, her music writing. And I think Josh is, like, very encouraging. He's like, well, I love all of your songs. Like, everyone you wrote's been good.
I think he mentions that she's the best songwriter, like, of all time.
And that's how you know that happy wife, happy life.
Exactly, exactly. And then there's nightfall. In Dalton's room, a camera pans to the window. You hear some ominous music. It's like the bush is going to come and attack Dalton.
I'd be worried about the bush. The ladder already got him.
But nothing happens tonight, because in the morning, Josh wakes up.
Nothing that we can see happens.
That's a good point, because things are happening behind the scenes.
Josh just comes downstairs like they did the other day. Like, everyone's downstairs at the kitchen, but they're missing Dalton.
Josh wakes up Dalton, but he's not getting up.
It's like that thing that, like, every parent never wants to happen is you go upstairs to wake up your kid, and your kid literally just doesn't wake up.
This is terrifying. I also want to say that something else is terrifying is I got these kids mixed up throughout the movie, and I thought Foster was Dalton, and Dalton was Foster for the first 15 minutes.
It happens.
I mean, they did a good job getting two kids that look like they could be siblings.
Yeah, that is true.
It fooled you.
It did. It did.
Since he can't wake him up, we then cut to the doctor, and the doctor explaining that the son Dalton is in a coma. I think he says something like he has no wake-up cycle in his sleep or something like that.
You're our doctor, Shane. And I'll tell you, he's got no brain trauma, no infection, his scans are all normal, but the doctor's never seen anything like it. It's a mystery. Hence why this is a horror mystery thriller.
And that's when Josh does, like, the cliche thing of when the doctor has to take, like, a call or something. He's like, but how long will the test take? As he reaches out like a Hallmark movie and is like, but when?
Insidious, a Hallmark classic.
Yeah. It's right up there with riding the bus with my sister.
Oh my lord, Rosie.
So then we cut to 3 months later, and we see a nurse describing how to insert a feeding tube into Dalton to Renee.
And this is my passion bump for the
I don't think there's a passion bump in this movie.
Not even close.
The feeding tube going in a child's mouth? Brian, you've gone off the rails.
I think this might be like one of the movies where, a horror movie where there's no passion bump whatsoever.
Zero passion in this movie. It's weird, because you think that's a staple of films. But that also makes sense, though, because no one really dies.
At the end.
She does.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
One person dies, but everybody keeps their clothes on. They can live and survive.
If we learned anything from the final girls, clothes on, you'll live.
Yeah. And there's also, like, one thing, because we're entering more of, like, the scary portions of the movie now. The thing that I think makes these scenes horrifying, you usually think of music in these movies. This movie has no music when it's about to scare you. Like, there's that one Tip Through the Window, like, that song.
It's
like,
fucking terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah, which is a lead up, but up to every scare in this movie, there's no definitive music before it happens, and that's exactly like how real life would be if you're gonna get scared. Like, there's no music leading up, and you have no idea when it's coming.
And that's what makes this movie scary.
Oh, yeah.
It's different. It doesn't have this, like, blah, jump scare noise for, like, a cat jumping at you or something like that.
Yeah, there's no Michael Myers warning.
I just want to know, it's going to be particularly disturbing for Renee to see her son with his breathing tubes in the house, because she looks absolutely in despair. Right now, she's trying to play the piano.
Yes, because that's what I was going to say.
She's really not in the mood.
No.
Okay.
And then she's definitely not in the mood because she starts to hear the noise on the baby monitor.
This is scary, because it's like breathing, and then the breathing kind of turns into words.
Well, yeah, because then it starts to say, like, give it, I want it.
It's like, there's nothing you can do.
And then she, like, runs to the baby's room, and she looks around the room, but there's nothing in there. The baby's just in the crib. So she has, like, no idea where this voice came from.
Creepy. I think Foster tells his mother, he's like, Mommy, I'm scared of Dalton. Let me change my room, please.
What does he do at night?
He walks. He's a night walker. Like Shane.
I'm not an Astro Boy.
You're not an Astro Boy, but you walk at night.
Do you sleepwalk? Do you sleep snack? Go down to the kitchen, make yourself a sandwich, and then you're like, how did this get here?
I've never done that. I could see Brian doing that.
No, Shane actually sleepwalks, because one time we were camping out, and he left the campsite to go to, like, a little fire and make some SpaghettiOs.
That's very specific. Why did you... Was that, like, the only food you guys brought?
SpaghettiOs, Chef Boyardee.
I think my favorite part of this story is that we've never been camping together.
That's horseshit, Shane.
Going back to the movie and not this fake camping trip. So now we're learning Foster seeing Dalton walk around, we don't know how this is possible. Dalton's clearly in a coma.
And it goes to the nighttime, too.
Yeah. At night now, like, isn't it where, like, Foster's, like, trying to sleep, but he hears, like, the noises?
Foster's having a hard time.
He's closing the door.
I would do the same thing.
He's like, I can't hang.
Do we see Dalton low-key move in this scene?
Like a little shift?
Yeah, does he shift? Because I didn't have my glasses on and couldn't tell, but does he?
Suckboy Dalton.
Please
Stop it!
Please stop calling him that.
Dalton may have a slight shift, not like a werewolf turning shift, but a shift slightly in his bed.
I didn't notice it, but I'll buy into what you're saying. Obviously now, Foster's scared. So he's just trying to sleep with the door closed.
Hide under the covers,
Exactly.
like any rational kid would do, because that's exactly what I used to do when I was
The
scared.
covers are all protecting.
Nothing will harm you when you're in the covers.
Well,
It's just
no,
a
if the
fact.
monster comes, it's like, he's under the covers. I guess I'll try again tomorrow.
He's gone. I've been foiled. But you can hear the sound of someone starting to walk outside his door as soon as he shuts it.
It's Satan.
You're not wrong.
So then we cut to Renee telling Josh about the voices she heard on the monitor earlier in the day. And
Typical horror movie dad.
this is the thing. Josh doesn't believe anything that she says, like, through most of the movie, which is always the case in a horror movie, is the wife sees everything and the husband doesn't. But this movie makes more sense why that's the case.
Yes.
They kind of write it into his character of why he's like this. So I don't take it away from this movie for doing this, going this
No,
route.
it's creative. Like Jen said, the writing is good. And he's like, no, that's just interference. I know what interference sounds like when I hear it.
Because then they start to hear a banging on the door.
This is horrifying. This is like the banging that you would never even want to hear on your own door. Like, I would be scared shitless if someone started banging my door this way.
Especially with how late it is at night. And
You're a kid, man. You're, like, traumatized.
Renee goes to Callie's room, and I believe Josh goes downstairs to check the door. So they're doing both this simultaneously.
Mom, get the kids. Dad, check the door.
Yeah.
He takes a flashlight to inspect further. I think he opens the door.
Well, he tries to turn on the lights, and all the lights won't even turn on.
Yeah, lights are out in the house.
Now, it's even worse for Renee, though, because she sees that woman standing over Callie's crib. Like, an apparition, like...
She's, like, guarded by the crib curtain, so you can't, like, get a full look at her.
Exactly.
But you see her face and her, like, eerie-looking grin, and it's terrifying.
And then she just calls to Josh. But by the time Josh gets there, she's already gone. The woman is gone. And then the alarm goes off downstairs again. And then Josh goes downstairs, and now the door's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming Josh is thinking maybe she did see someone and they got out, or...
Shows the lock on the door just, like, swinging.
Yeah.
I think it's a latch, right?
Yeah.
It's just, like, undone. It would have had to happen fast.
So Renee goes, gets Foster, and the three of them hide in Dalton's room. Because obviously now they think someone was in the house.
He turns off the alarm, and then I believe the lights are turned back on at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he grabs a fireplace poker because there's no better way to defend yourself.
But he also shuts the door. Like, he shuts and relocks the door. And honestly, a fireplace poker is not that bad of a weapon compared to other things people have grabbed.
Because you get range with a fireplace poker.
It's also kind of blunt. You can
Yes.
break some ribs with that thing.
You can also stab someone with that. He grabs this sharp one.
Yeah.
Stick him with the pointy end.
Mm-hmm.
Not the worst weapon someone could have grabbed. It happens again. He's looking around the house.
That's right.
Trying to find someone.
The alarm does go off one more time.
And the door opens again.
Yeah.
For the third time.
It pans out after that to, like, the house and, like, that ominous music, and then we transition to the classroom.
That ominous music is fire.
Not just the music, but just, like, the sounds, the subtle sounds they use throughout the whole movie. It's so well done. Because I know you're a big sound guy, Brian.
I am, especially when there's cicadas involved. The scene shifts to Josh in his classroom now. He's calling his wife. And he's like, honey, I'm going to be late tonight. Fire up those SpaghettiOs when I get home.
The last part doesn't happen.
Don't think that they had a SpaghettiO
Product placement?
Yeah.
We're sponsored by SpaghettiO.
I don't think SpaghettiOs decided to be an advertiser on this.
No,
movie.
they're not like putting down a bag and it has the McDonald's logo on the table. You're not getting that in this one. Unless I missed it, which is very possible, because I've learned I am not very observant.
They do have other things, like in Josh's bathroom, they have like product placement there.
Okay.
Not enough for me to notice which one it actually was.
Yeah, it's not like I'm watching Jurassic World and Chris Pratt pulls up in this car and they just zoom in on the car for like 3 minutes. Very, very subtle.
So at this point, I definitely would want Josh as my teacher because he's clearly grading tests and he's doing them fast.
Isn't he just sitting there not doing anything? 'Cause
Yes.
He doesn't want to go home?
Clearly preoccupied with the missing son. You know, suck boy. And because he's so preoccupied with missing his son, he's probably rashly grading his tests.
Yeah, I think I need to start a petition for you never to say that again.
I already started it.
Okay, good. I'm going to sign it.
Okay, me too. It'll be posted in a link in our Instagram. Swipe up. Isn't this the part where we go to the nurse again and she's talking to Renee? Renee's like talking about how like she doesn't know how much she can take.
When they move over the bedsheet, they see the bloody handprint.
Yes, which is actually lipstick.
Which I didn't realize you can make lipstick look so much like blood. Because it does look like a bloody handprint. Like,
I mean, blood fluid usually. Like, in the old movies when they used to do, like, the practical effects, it would feel like it would be either just way too vibrant red, like clearly paint red.
like you're watching a Dario Argento film.
Exactly.
But it works for him, so I'm not taking a shot at him.
I think it was supposed to be bright red just in general. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it alludes to the lipstick-based demon precisely or any of the other ones just roaming their house. But
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of ghoulies.
Are all the ghoulies, I think they're called entities in this movie.
I know.
Are all the entities named?
not particularly. Like the little boy, they just call the little boy. The family that we see later in the further, I refer to as the Annihilators, and I'll tell you why when we get to them.
Cool. What about my guy that plays guitar for Iron Maiden?
That would just be the rapist.
The rapist.
Okay.
Because he seems to want Renee. He has his eyes on her.
He does.
He does.
His eyes, his tongue.
Oh my god.
Josh fell asleep in his classroom.
He did.
Wakes up.
Grading test is boring.
Here's a voicemail. His wife has just been like, dude, come home. Where you been, bro?
Yeah. Well, no, because when he gets home, she's like, why are you staying at work late every night? Like, I'm scared for Dalton. I'm like, I'm scared of this house. Like, why aren't you here with us? Like, I don't feel safe here.
And he's just kind of avoiding it. Like, they're in a tough situation, which would just be tough for any family in general. Like, your son is basically in a coma for months on end, and like it's all worry, there's bills. It's kind of tearing them apart a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, I could get why she's even just afraid of the house, not with just the thing she's seeing, but like maybe 3 days after they moved in, their son went into a coma.
Yeah.
So it's like their only memories of this house are like the accident.
She does call us, like, this place is haunted. This is a haunted house. Legitimately. This is a haunted house.
Yeah.
And, as you mentioned, you're absent from me. You're absent with me here in this situation. I need you here. But, he's dealing with it in his own way, and he's not the worst horror movie dad. He's willing to make some concessions.
No, he is.
He's not a drunk.
No. Also not the worst, because, like I said, like, the way his character's written, what you learn about him and his past makes sense why he's acting the way he is acting. He's not doing it because he's a bad person. It's more trauma-based.
She's like, well, you're dealing with it in your own way. Well, how about you deal with this? And she hands him the bloody sheet with the handprint.
She even calls him out for avoiding just stressful situations in general, too. Like, all of this. Like,
You heard the fight or flight response? Big flight guy,
yeah,
Josh.
huge flight guy.
Dalton is now sleeping again.
Considering he's in a
Dalton's
coma.
been sleeping.
Considering he's in a coma,
Dalton's the sleeping beauty of this movie.
I could be wrong, but I think Dalton's in that ill sleep.
I guess we could call it that.
I think the viewer now gets a shot of this red hallway.
Yeah.
It's like lit up by candles on either side of the hall.
Yeah, we see the kid in his bed, we see the hallway with candles, we see a house in fog, and then we see, it's either one or two handprints imprinted on the window. And then Renee wakes up from her sleep.
We are transitioning to Ultimate Spooky House right now.
It's turned.
The house
We've turned.
is officially in the spooky pit.
Oh my god. It's where the spooky pit lies.
When we say let's jump into the spooky pit, are we just going into the further?
Jeez, I hope not. I don't want to go anywhere near the annihilating family.
But someone is watching Renee in this scene, and this is my nightmare.
Doesn't she, like, wake up from a night terror? She just, like,
She said, like, when they were arguing, like, before they went to bed, that she, like, feels eyes on her, and she is not lying. There are eyes on her, and they're probably on her at all times, this particular one.
yeah, this is freaking creepy because my boy, who is the lead guitarist for Iron Maiden, is walking back and forth from her window. It's actually terrifying. You actually don't get a good image of what he looks like.
No.
You just see this image walking back and forth. And just picture yourself. It's dark out. Your husband is on the couch.
Yeah.
And there's just rando guy walking to and fro in front of your window.
And he doesn't just appear, like, behind her window. He's walking back and forth, and then suddenly he's in the house.
I think he lunges for her.
He does.
He does a lunge. Can you show me what the lunge looks like, Shane?
I mean, I would, but they can't see it, so what's the point?
But I want to see it.
Ah. Meanwhile, Josh wakes up from his sleep downstairs, running upstairs to save his wife from whatever it is she's yelling about. Because he has no idea.
He goes there. He doesn't see anything.
No.
Very typical. And she's like begging and pleading to believe her. Believe me.
And what I like about this scene is she's begging to leave the house, and he agrees.
He makes a concession.
Yeah. which is not something you see often in horror movies.
Used, and Jen, you probably could attest to this, I'm so used to a character being defiant and just staying in the same haunted house over and over and over and reliving the same experiences and fate every family does.
Yeah, but as, like, she's established, he's an avoider. So if he can do an easy fix to a problem, if all it takes for all of this to end is just moving out of that house, he's willing to do that. And he wants everything to go back to normal. He obviously wants his son to wake up, which is not an easy fix. But right now, the easy fix that she's telling him is to get out of that house. He's like, all right, let's go. We can leave now.
That's a good point, because then he thinks, like, she won't be having all these, like, because since he doesn't really believe that these things are there, he's like, all right, she won't see these things anymore.
Like her psychosis is rested in that house.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly. So we cut to the new house, and Renee is with a new character. This new character is Lorraine, who is Josh's mom. And they are unpacking some stuff and unpacked a photo of Josh, right?
It's a family photo.
Yes. And Lorraine is like, how'd you get Josh to take a picture? Because there are no pictures of Josh.
And this never comes into play in the film.
No, it's kind of like the focal point of the entire movie.
Can I also just point out, and this is a James Wan Easter egg, that in The Conjuring, and she's Lorraine Warren. Lorraine
Yes.
Warren is a real person in real life,
Mhm.
but a James Wan Easter egg is that he named Josh's mom Lorraine.
Ooh.
Oh, so kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's interesting.
And it's interesting because Lorraine now tells Renee that she knows exactly what she's going through.
Mhm.
Which is odd because it's such a specific situation.
Obviously, since we've seen the movie, like, it all makes sense. But in that, you're like, what? Like, how would you know, like, what I'm going through? Seeing ghosts and...
Ghoulies?
Yeah, and coma kids and...
Yeah, I don't believe that Josh was actually ever in a coma.
No. I think then the next scene is Renee's, like, playing a record. And she goes to take out the trash.
She seems to be alone in this scene.
Yes. That's why I don't know how much later it is from when they're unpacking. But she sees...
Probably, like, right after, but she's walking through, like, she's doing laundry. And this, I know you guys didn't notice this. So when she's walking through the laundry room, she, like, puts the basket down, right? And this is right before she puts the record on and walks outside. She puts the basket down, and if you look all the way to the left, the little boy is facing the wall.
I think it was the scariest part of the movie.
I didn't see it.
Really?
I mean, I see the little boy dancing to the record.
No, I did
soon,
a double take. He was just fucking standing still, looking at the wall.
See, I'm gonna rewatch this
It's
movie
fucking
after
terrible. She just walks right by him. It's very easy to miss. I had to do a double take. I'm like, is that a ficus or a little kid?
Yeah, when we were watching the movie, because I've seen this so many times, I was watching it with, like, your mutual friend Dan and my boyfriend, and I was like, did you see that? He was like, see what? I had to go back, and he almost shit himself.
I thought it was legitimately terrifying.
Yeah, see, now I gotta go back and watch and, like, look out for all these little things.
I believe the song changes on the record player.
When she goes outside.
Yes, because I think the little boy plays something he wants to listen to.
And this song is a fucking banger.
She goes outside to throw the trash away, and the music changes as soon as she leaves, but she doesn't see him right away. She hears it. She's like, what the?
It's the Tiny Tim music.
What's that?
You know, the
Please
old...
tell.
Tiptoe through the window.
Okay, cut.
By the window.
We just need the first two lines, but yeah, that's just as creepy hearing you sing it. You make me lose my train of
Where do
thought.
we recognize that voice from? What 90s cartoon was that in?
Oh my god.
SpongeBob.
Can you sing us a little bit of that excerpt?
So she goes back into the house, and I love just jumping back into these things after you sing a song, and she sees the little boy running around the house. Now, we're just dubbing him Little Boy, right?
He's giggling. It's terrifying.
Well, she, like, doesn't run in right away. She's looking. She's like, am I seeing things?
Yeah.
And then she moves to, like, the window right next to her, and he's not there anymore.
No. And then I believe she goes in the house,
Yeah.
following him, because he's, like, running down the hall.
Yeah.
She goes looking, like, through rooms. Like, she goes into one room, and she sees, like, the rocking horse rocking.
Yeah, well, she tiptoed through the window, by the window, in the bedroom, of course, sees a rocking chair.
She's kind of getting braver.
Yeah.
Because she's not, like, cowering from them anymore. She's running for them. And the rocking chair usually, like, would scare the crap out of her. But she, like, just reaches in and is like, stop! And she's like, yeah, make it stop!
I'll be honest, I don't care if the devil was in there. there's a better chance of me avoiding that house with Tiny Tim than Satan himself. I called him Tiny Tim. Kid is terrifying.
So we can call him that.
Yeah, so
That's
Tiny
what
Tim
it's
is his new official name.
Any little boy spirit, unless they are given names, we are dubbing them as Tiny Tim.
All right, I like it. We see the rocking horse. Then she keeps searching through the house, and she sees shoes, like, under a curtain with a drawer or something above it.
She's also in Dalton's room, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all in Dalton's room.
It's a wardrobe, right?
Yeah, it's a wardrobe. Yeah, that's what
you have the area for the clothes, and the bottom is where the shoes are.
Yeah. So she, like, looks under the curtain, and it is just shoes. A very well done jump scare. He just comes through the wardrobe.
Yeah, he's like playing hide and seek.
Exactly.
He's a child.
And it scares me when he jumps out. Like, it's when jump scares are done right.
Yeah, so you do the only thing you can do. You get an exorcist.
Yeah.
Well, she calls the priest first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Exorcist.
Is the priest supposed to be an exorcist?
That's what I assume any priest in a haunting movie is.
Me too. I lump the ideas together. He's probably just like a counselor or someone to help her out, but I just assume it's the exorcist.
If Josh doesn't walk in, 2 minutes later, he's throwing holy water into the walls.
Oh, you're right, because Lorraine's already there in this scene.
See, that's your rewrite. I'm not sure if that was Josh's rewrite, because Josh is like, dude, why are you with a priest in the house?
Oh, he's like, is this the old joke of the husband comes home to his wife and a priest?
Yeah, I mean, the vicar won't be home for hours.
Oh my god. So yeah, he's kind of puzzled. The priest does leave, and Renee's like, yo, homie, I saw a little boy today, but it wasn't a child, it was something else. Whatever was at the old house has followed us here, honey. It's like, so you brought the priest in to get rid of it? You know, old school, because in the olden times, a priest would cast out demons.
Don't priests still do that?
No, I'm sure they do. You've seen the devil inside.
Oh.
I think they're generally there to mostly bless the house and try and do it that way. I don't think priests mostly are exorcists.
No, about 99% of them aren't.
Yeah.
There's those select few that are, and
then they make the movie Devil Inside.
Brave souls, because that is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm going on a sidebar here. If you haven't seen the movie Devil Inside, don't. Because you watch it for an hour and 20 minutes, and then it ends. And I don't mean, like, it has an ending.
And it starts about an hour in.
Yeah, no, and, like, it literally just ends.
It does. He's not kidding.
Oh, dear.
The movie ends.
You think it's like, oh, they're getting to the climax, and then it stops, and the credits roll.
But this movie does not end. It goes on for at least 3 additional movies.
Yeah, there's 4 Insidiouses.
I'm not upset about it.
No.
3 of them are very good.
What about the 4th?
It's okay.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
We'll talk about it more later.
Yes.
It's not terrible. I rewatch it.
It's watchable.
On a rainy day.
It doesn't compare to the other 3, though. The other 3 are
But let's
so
get
good.
back, because we're in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
in the meat.
We are in the meat. Speaking of meat, Lorraine says that what's happening to Renee is real, and she's seen it for herself, so she can attest that it's real.
Yeah, because she's seen the meat.
I mean, she's seen something. She starts talking about a dream that she had.
Because the dream, it was at night, and she was in their house, the Lambert house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like she was having a dream where she's just walking around their house, and she said she was very aware. What's that called when you're aware of in your dream? Oh, aware of what's going on, you kind of control your dream?
Deja vu? No, that's not
No,
right.
no.
No, that's when things happen twice.
Yeah, it's, you're dreaming, so you can control what happens in your dream. There is a specific word for this. I don't know.
You can control the outcome of your dream?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're dreaming.
I'm gonna call that sick shit.
Lucid dreaming.
I actually never heard of that before.
Really?
Yeah, it's a first for me.
Yeah, lucid dreaming is when you can control your dreams. Like, you're asleep and you realize it.
That's sick.
So she says, like, she's kind of lucid dreaming, but, like, she knows she's asleep. Like, she's just walking around their house checking everyone's rooms.
No, if I was lucid dreaming, I would stop in the refrigerator and pick up a Mountain Dew, but she doesn't do that. She goes into their bedroom. They're both sleeping. Then she goes into Suckboy's room, or Dalton, but I know him as Suckboy because he's sucked into a different plane.
I thought you were calling him Suckboy because he was sucking on the feeding tube.
No.
Ah.
No.
Okay, maybe we should stop from this point.
No. And there was something with Dalton. She noticed something with the kid.
She sees the shadow man.
It was standing there in the corner, and the viewer, the audience, can see, as she's describing this to both her son and Renee, a creepy silhouette, like almost like a shadow. Silhouette with long fingernails, very long, very creepy, hoof-like. Hooves, right? It's got hooves?
It's got hooves.
Can we confirm that?
Confirmed hooves.
Its legs have hooves. The rest of it is just, like, Freddy Cougar nails.
And then she asked who was there, And she tells her son and Renee that this entity said it was a visitor. When asked what it wants, it said it wants Dalton. And Lorraine says that she can still hear that voice. This is actually the point in time
Where you first see it.
Yeah.
It appears behind Josh.
You hear him before you see him. There's just this little creaking, this weird
Terrifying.
little sounding creaking, and then she looks up at her son, and the lipstick face demon is directly behind him.
It's scary. Like, the first time you see him, it's scary.
Oh, it really is, because you get him for a glimpse, and everything about him is pretty creepy. And the fact that it's being credited as lipstick face demon makes him scarier, in my opinion.
They actually, the James Wan didn't want Dalton to be scared of the demon when he was interacting with him in the movie. So in the process of creating the demon, he actually made the kid who played Dalton. What'd you say his name was? Ty? Yeah.
Shrimpskin?
Shimpkin, I think.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they made him watch the creation of the lipstick demon, so he knew it was fake. So he then wouldn't be like scarred for making this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a good way to scar child actors.
I thought you were going to say that they're giving him a lightsaber to duel them, because they wrote that into the plot.
Oh yeah, because then passing by, he's just Darth Maul.
Exactly. They see, like, the doorknob shaking?
That's right, because they go in the room, and the room is trashed, and Dalton is on the floor.
Yeah, they run directly to Dalton's room. Like, as soon as, like, she sees the demon and freaks out, they run directly to his room where all that happens.
Dalton walks in his sleep, because he walks a total of 1 foot, and is on the floor.
Well, I just assumed when the bed was... Because isn't the bed kind of...
Oh, you thought the whole room was in disarray and that he didn't walk 1 foot and then the room was just messed up anyway.
Yeah, I assumed, like, the demons or the entities...
Just, like, tossed everything around.
Exactly.
But then he probably, in this case, used Dalton's body to do that, because we'll see later he's very, very close to Dalton.
So now we cut to when Lorraine says that she knows someone to call. And that's when we get the 2 guys. It's Specs
Tucker.
and Tucker.
And this is where we meet the writer.
Specs is one of the writers of this movie, which is pretty sweet.
Yep, it is, like we said earlier, it's Lee Winnell, the guy we know as Adam from Saw.
And you know Tucker as Tucker from this film. And they're here because they're going to run some preliminary tests as they're scanning the natural electromagnetic environment.
What I like about this scene is they're like walking around with these like, it looks like just these like cheap, flimsy, like fake things that you would see on like a ghost show on like Sci-Fi Network.
And what's that toy that, what was the second guy's name?
Tucker.
What's that toy that Tucker pulls out where you, it flips and you can see like the different colors?
Yeah, it's like that red, blue, and green.
The slide projector?
It's like a mini slide projector.
Yeah, it's a mini slide projector.
There's a term for it.
I don't even know what to Google for that.
I was about to call Fisher Price, but I don't know if they make it.
Do we got time to call Fisher Price?
It's called a create your own real viewer. So it's one of those toys from the 90s where you like would pop like something in and just like watch a little movie.
Did you all have one? 'Cause I definitely had one.
No, I had
Oh,
one.
100%.
Yeah.
I think they say like if you didn't own one, you're a certified asshole.
Yeah, it's true.
Probably.
So while he's using this, because he's not a certified asshole, he changes filters and he sees the 2 girls from The Shining.
Holy shit, I thought the same thing, except they're grown up.
Yes.
So these are the 2 girls from the Family Annihilator family that we will see later in the further.
They're terrifying.
Yes.
They have these shit-eating grins on.
Yes.
They're so scary.
And it's not the last time we see those grins.
That grin is just like, it appears in this movie, in the rest of the franchise, and it is horrifying.
Because it's like, it happens so quick. Ugh.
They don't let the scares linger in this movie. Like that, they did a really good job with timing them super well.
Yeah. And as soon as Tucker sees this...
He's backing up.
He's like, he tells Specs, he's like, we have to call Elise.
Yeah. And then Elise arrives, introduces herself at the house, and tells Josh she remembers Josh.
Yes. And Josh has no idea who she is.
No idea.
Because she says, Josh, you've grown a lot. And Josh is like, do I know you? Like,
and we mentioned in the beginning, this is Lynn Shay. You know her from every horror movie literally ever made.
And she says she's an old friend of Lorraine's.
It's interesting. Like, oh, I wonder if this movie is anything like the previous movies, this would never come back into play. But it's not. I think, and quote me if I'm wrong, Specs and Tucker now argue about who's going to run the tests.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because she asks about the old house. Like, that's why Specs and Tucker are there, because they want to make sure it's not faulty wiring or it's something like solvable, that they've moved into a house where things are just happening weird because of the way the house is set up. They're there for the pre-check, basically.
Exactly. And Elise is experienced in this field, obviously. They call her in. She has to be. She already feels, she's like, this is not bad wiring in here.
Automatically wants to walk through the house, and she tells Specs, like, walk with me, draw what I tell you I see. And she goes into Dalton's room, and then she starts to describe the figure to Specs. And it is blood red face, black arms, black body, pitch black eyes, hooves for feet, long nails. Am I missing anything?
You said pitch black eyes?
I did hit that one.
Like two dark holes? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's sketching it all down. Curious to see what this thing looks like, because she's getting a good look at it. No one else can see it, but she's getting a good look at it. And Renee kind of walks over to see the sketch. She's curious, Kat. And we all are curious, so we probably do the same thing. And it's pretty much spot on to what Elise says.
Yeah. It's exactly the figure that we saw just previously that was behind Josh. The red lipstick.
And this thing is hovering over Dalton. Like, this thing is by him essentially at all times.
So that's when Elise brings them down into the living room, and she tells them Dalton isn't in a coma. His spiritual body is essentially away.
He's an empty vessel.
Yes.
She does give them fair warning. She's like, fair warning, strict contradiction to science here. To any medical diagnosis your son may have had. And like you said, his body right now in their home is technically a vessel. The reason this new disturbance followed them to a new home is because it's not the house itself that's haunted. It's their son,
Dalton. Which is also another cool thing for the horror movie, because it's always the house. It's cool that it's the actual person that's like haunted.
And the reason particularly why he's haunted is precisely because he's an empty vessel.
Yeah.
Like, all these spirits are attracted to him. The specific ones that I guess, like, we've seen so far, the little boy, the girls from the Family Annihilator family that I'll point out later, they all basically want another chance at life, and they see an empty vessel as something that they could maybe invest in.
I love it. They're like almost in their own world, in the astral plane, fighting over the vessel.
Yeah, there are people that essentially want to buy property, and the property is Dalton's body.
Exactly.
The highest bidder gets it.
The one who can put the most time, effort, and energy in is the one who essentially will take what they can get.
I am not going to say anything.
Elise doesn't just talk about the ones that want a second chance at life. She talks about another type. She talks about these parasites.
She also talks about just astral projection in general.
AP physics, astral projection physics.
Exactly. It's the ability to leave the physical body and go to other places. And she says Dalton is very good, essentially like a master of astral projection, because he can go further than most people can.
He's a traveler.
Yeah. She describes how he's been doing this in his sleep for like a very long time. And he's just been progressively going further and further and further.
But he does it because he thinks they're dreams.
Exactly.
He has no idea that this is something real. He thinks that he's controlling his dreams and he's doing what he wants and he's having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy that. Except, I never really had dreams. I just had nightmares as a kid. Really.
That's not good.
I had the constant nightmare that my teeth was falling out.
Oh my god.
That was my thing.
I'm not going to look up that symbolism right now. Maybe later.
It's worry, anxiety, stuff like that.
It's a very anxiety-driven dream.
She also says at this point, he's lost. That's why he hasn't been able to get back. And the one particular spirit that they're seeing, or the demon, because he's not a spirit, he's not a human, is a parasite, and he wants Dalton's body. He's spent the most time and energy on it.
And like we were saying, the longer Dalton is away from his body, the easier it will become for these demons to possess. Now, with all of this said, Renee has opted in, but Josh has opted out.
Did we actually explain that she mentions what the place is called, that she labels it the Further?
I believe we said the Further, but I guess we didn't explain
We
it.
call- we call it that.
You could.
It's because Shane said they venture further and further, and I just want to let you know that Elise calls this place the Further.
No, that's good. I'm glad you threw it
It's
in there, even though you were being a stupid, condescending bitch to me.
It's a world...
All right, boys.
Time out. It's a world beyond our own, yet it's all around us. A place without time, a dark realm filled with the tortured souls of the dead, a place that's not meant for the living. Did you guys ever read any astral projection books growing up?
No.
No, thank you.
There's a whole literature for it if you want to check it out.
Pass.
People do this. People astral project.
Do you actually think people astral project?
They definitely attempt. Check it out. There's tons of literature on it.
I believe that people attempt it. I'm asking, do you actually think it's possible?
I'm not willing to dismiss something. Try everything once.
Yeah.
And I would give it a shot. I would be a little scared because you don't know where you're going to go.
Yeah. I know, it's just an interesting idea. The whole just even in general, the idea of demons and spirits, and whether they're real or not, because
it's kind of terrifying though, because you can like see yourself in your bed.
Well, it's kind of like what isn't that like
Insidious? That's a good one.
Moving on. Renee is opting in. Josh is opting out. Josh basically is like, it's all bullshit. Leave my home. I mean, he says more than that, but that's the gist of what he's getting at.
Yeah, like they start having an argument. She's like, you don't believe anything that I've seen or believe me at all. And he's like, I moved houses for you, which, I mean, he did that for an easy fix. He didn't do it because he believed her.
In a really cool scene, Josh goes to Dalton and he talks to Dalton saying that he's right here. He's like still in denial, but he looks at the drawings on the walls. It's a picture of like the house and his son like kind of drawing himself like floating over the house. It says, last night I watched myself sleep, then flew away.
It's touching.
Like, he's realizing maybe this is real. But what's also cool is what led him to that is the picture of the red-faced demon fell off the wall first.
Because he's asking Dalton
for
to
a sign.
Like, give him a sign.
That is the sign.
Yeah, and he has a picture on his wall, literally, of the red-faced demon. And can I just point out that, this bugs me, they moved and they had to hang those photos up. They had to pack them up and then rehang them.
That was going to be my
please explain to me
moment. How they've not noticed those photos before.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they were so sad of the coma, they just want to make his room exactly how it was, and they didn't look at anything. And now, as I'm saying that, I realize how much bullshit that is. So...
Unless you think it's possible for the son to come back and hang up the pictures.
They would have noticed it.
What if the drawing... You're right. I honestly can't explain. Like, why? I could see, like, maybe them not reading the writing. They're like, this drawing sucks. I'm not even gonna... You know.
Well, they also probably just didn't even think that he was a traveler in that sense. Like, that wasn't told to them until literally probably a few hours prior.
You know what? That is a good point, because think about it. They would have hung all this up without knowing the traveling and without knowing what the demon looks like.
And the mom probably hung it up, so you would think that at this point the mom has having flashbacks to her son's drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that, totally get it. Little marital issue, but... No, totally. I'd love my kids, drawing pictures of hooved demons.
When I was a kid, I used to draw pictures of zombies.
Yo, you didn't draw. You destroyed.
I drew. I wasn't good. I'm not saying I drew good.
Take a look at this notebook.
Okay.
I mean, there's no holes in it yet.
To be fair.
There's 3 holes.
Oh, are there actually?
No. All right.
Now I just look stupid.
I write and look at the screen at the same time. So my letters don't get finished. And they kind of float, and they're not on the line. But that's because I'm trying to take good notes while watching.
You flunked penmanship.
I actually got all S's.
Yeah.
They don't teach it anymore now, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's disappointing. That was my best class.
But now Josh and Renee have opted in. They
Yes.
want Lisa's help. Josh kind of came to the conclusion that maybe his son is somewhere else, and they're out of options.
So they get Elise back to the house. They all gather in a... Would you call this a seance? What they're doing?
No, but it appears like one, because isn't a seance when you're trying to communicate with someone who's already dead?
Well, his body is in the realm of the dead,
that's
I guess...
the only
Oh,
reason
you think the further's in a realm is a dead realm?
Yeah, because
there are spirits.
I thought it was an alternate plane.
No, so the further in the way that she describes it, it's the realm where the people who are dead that can't get to, like, the afterlife where they... Not hell, what's in between?
Purgatory?
It's like a purgatory where... Only the dead are there. Even over the rest of the franchise, she'll repeatedly say the living don't have a place here because everyone there is dead or they're like a demon or a parasite.
Alright, so we will call it a seance.
Yeah.
And this is a special seance because the leader gets to wear a gas mask.
Yeah, but even for a seance, don't you have to connect with someone that's going to speak back to you?
Well, she does try to talk to
Tries to talk to Dalton.
She talks to him. That's true, through the gas.
That's the only reason I was kind of calling it a seance, because she does, like, actually...
But he's not a ghost.
He's not.
I have a hard time calling this a seance, guys. I'm sorry. It doesn't feel like one.
But they are, like, gathered in a circle, and...
I don't think that's anything to do with the seance.
I feel like if he stayed out of his body long enough, he would die.
Yeah, because then if a demon possessed his body, like, I guess he would technically not be able to come back.
I think this is technically a seance, because he's in the realm of the dead, so he's technically amongst the dead, even though his body's still living.
Are there candles?
There's a lamp.
Yeah, there's a lamp.
Okay, so this is like a 2010 seance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're gonna go seance.
It's a stretch.
Well, we
We can
agree to
that.
disagree, but 2-on-1.
Not a democracy. New form of government.
But who she ends up talking to isn't amongst the living anyway.
That's right. She talks to... Who does she talk to exactly?
They find Dalton first. They're searching for Dalton. She's very straight up. She's like, I don't know if we'll make contact. She's very blunt about doing this. She's like, it's a little unorthodox. We may get nothing. You never know. And I'm going to be straight up with you if we actually do get nothing. So they talk to Dalton. They're searching for him. And Dalton's begging them almost to be quiet.
Yeah, because she's like come back to find his way back. And he's like, quiet. They'll hear you.
This entire step should have been skipped.
Oh, I don't think so, because I know that you don't know who was talking to her. Who do you think was talking to her?
Well, I think there was multiple people talking to her. I think it was someone impersonating Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly who that was.
Yeah, we don't know who that was.
I don't know, yeah. But I thought Dalton and someone impersonating Dalton at the same time. Was it just one?
There were two people in this seance. I do think they were trying to say that Dalton did talk to them at one point.
I thought in the beginning
and
he was
then
talking
it's
to them.
alluded that it was the red-faced demon talking to them.
Okay.
I'll be honest, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, he's the one that definitely... Everyone's got the hots for the boy. Oh, God, I'm not going to say that.
I only think it was Dalton because he's not going along with them, like saying like, oh no, speak louder so I can follow you. He's telling them to be quiet. They'll hear you. They're going to hurt me if they hear you.
And he's like, oh, they got me.
Shocker.
Well, because he starts yelling like, help. Well, not yelling, but he keeps writing help. And that's when stuff starts to get really crazy.
Was it the fact that Specs is kind of like scribbling everything really quick?
Like, that's when a demon's taken over. That's when, we're talking to the demon.
I thought Dalton was the one that was saying, like, you bitch, and I'll rip out your innards.
No, that's the demon. That's someone else. Dalton's not there anymore.
You can see how I can make that mistake, though.
I guess a little bit. They actually tried really hard to kind of differentiate that it switched over and someone else took over.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking that Dalton's 12 years old, and he's about to be 13. He's going to have a little edge to him. Little teenage angst.
Is that why he gets up and flips the table?
Yes.
Because he does do that.
And they're taking photos this whole time. They're surrounded by cameras that are motion sensors.
Yes, that's a good point, because we didn't mention while they're doing all this writing, and there's constant flashing going on in the background.
You hear a heartbeat, right? There's like the heart monitor.
Yeah, I think there is.
His heart monitor's in the background because Dalton's body is on a heart monitor. The two kids are at their grandma's house, and Dalton is still at the home because he's the main issue right now. So his body's on a heart monitor just to make sure, like, in his coma state that he doesn't die.
Yeah, I think in this particular scene you actually hear it prevalent, and that's because he's no longer in his bed.
Yeah, he flipped the table.
He's fucking pissed. Teenage angst.
And that's when these spirits have arrived. Like, they're surrounding everyone. And Elise grabs Dalton and she's shouting, like, leave this vessel, leave this vessel.
Yeah, and the rapey guy licks Renee, and I hate it.
Yeah, that he's creepy. Like,
his tongue is so strong. Strongest tongue I've ever seen.
Dear God.
Guess we'll go with that. I won't argue that one.
It's very long.
It is.
Yeah, is it Gene Simmons?
I think he's missing part of his, like, mouth, if you, like, look at him.
Yeah, like it's, like, sewed up or something.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how he died.
Someone probably punched him in his rape mouth. So, after the spirits finally go away, after Elise gets them to, is it Tucker who's looking through the pictures that they were taking?
Yeah, because Speck got hit in the head when the demon, like, shoved everyone off the table and everything. So Tucker's looking through the photos.
That's right, because Speck actually has one funny scene in this movie where he's laying on a piece of meat.
Slab of meat on his head.
Yeah. It actually got a laugh out of me after being
efficient.
Terrified for a while. Tucker's looking through the photos, and he's like, I got nothing. But he finds the one picture of Dalton standing and the red lipstick demon above him.
He's doing frame by frame. So essentially the red lipstick demon is holding him like a puppet.
Yeah, he's the puppeteer to this vessel.
This is like Persona, if you ever play the video game Persona, where you catch these demons and they're kind of like a part of you, except this is reverse Persona, when you don't want the demon and it's just latched onto your shit.
Okay. I haven't played the game, but I'm sure people listening have.
Well, you don't want a demon ever latched on your shit.
No, that's the last place I want a demon all over my shit. So then we cut to Lorraine. She comes over to talk to Josh and Renee, and this is where Lorraine tells Josh that he was the original Astro Boy. When he was younger, when he was around 8 years old, he used to suffer from night terrors. Like, he was terrified of an old woman. This is where we're learning this woman that Renee has been seeing was a woman who was terrorizing Josh when he was a child.
I don't think Renee's seeing this woman. Is she seeing the woman?
She saw the woman the one time in the
baby.
bedroom. Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was her, if that was one of the family annihilators.
Was that her?
I always thought it was her.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell because she was obstructed.
That was the only time I thought she saw her.
But the old woman would apparently visit him at night, and I actually hope it was for far more nefarious things, like trying to take him into the further, or take his body, versus other things that are unfortunately plaguing my mind.
I'm gonna say god damn it, bro.
So she said, like, she wrote it off like they were just night terrors, but when she would take Josh's photo, she thought it was a camera obstruction. She thought that there was just something wrong with the camera, that is just, like, screwed with the background a little bit. And then as, like, Josh gets a little older and a little older, every time she takes a photo, the woman is just getting closer and closer until she's nearly on top of Josh.
Yeah, where her hand is, like, almost grabbing him. They mention now how Josh had his memories and all his astral projection suppressed, which is why he doesn't remember any of this occurring. So this is kind of why Josh never believed anything, that it's all been suppressed for him to forget.
They did that on purpose, because if they didn't suppress it, the woman would have basically gotten as close as the lipstick-based demon is getting to Dalton.
Exactly. The only way to save him was to make him forget. But now the only way to save Dalton is for him once again to become the Astro Boy.
He's gonna have to go where only one boy we know has ventured so far.
He's gonna have to go into the further again. And so they put Josh into a chair. Elise, how would you describe what she does to get him to
Hypnosis.
She basically puts him in a trance, or not much of a trance, is more of a relaxed state where he's just focusing.
She flicks on a metronome. You ever hear of a metronome?
Yeah, it's the move Clefairy uses in Pokemon.
I knew that was coming, you son of a bitch, I hate you. So it's cool because immediately this doesn't work, or at least for a second it doesn't work, because Josh gets up, he's like, this is useless! Like Shane always does when he gets really pouty. He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and then he turns around and he sees that it actually did work.
Yeah, like me. It always works when I try something.
Oh, when do you get this newfound confidence, Shane?
I don't know, you just put me down so much, I gotta bring it back up.
I'm good at it.
He's just staring at himself.
And that's creepy. Like, if I'm gonna AP, and I'd love to AP all over the place, I would be terrified, though, if I seen myself outside of my own body.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, where do you go from here?
Because it's almost like you died, because it's your spirit leaving your body.
And Elise knows where he is. She's like, her neck is slightly cocked and turned, talking to him. What did she say? Like, go find your son?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Like, let my voice be your guide. Go find your kid. Into the further you go. Stuff like that. I always say that to my kids.
Oh, no! We didn't see the woman in black, because the first ghost he sees is like a regular bride in white going up the stairs.
Yeah, that's the
you're
one.
right.
She's the white.
Yeah.
Wait,
in the white gown.
Does he have to go to his old house first?
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say, before even that, doesn't he see Dalton pointing to the house?
Is that Dalton? I just thought it was Boy in PJs.
Is it Boy in PJs?
I don't know.
It might be. I thought it was Dalton too.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe.
a previous Dalton.
Yeah, yeah.
Because time doesn't exist here. You can go back as far as you need to.
Yes.
So he then goes into the house that was being pointed at, and that's when he runs into the spirit you had just mentioned.
So we haven't seen the bride in black yet.
Correct.
For the exception of her being in Josh's photos. That bride that we saw in the baby's room was that bride.
Yeah, so that is my mistake.
It's weird how they have two brides.
Well, they differentiate them by one wearing white and one wearing black.
Gown color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next family we see is the family annihilators. Why don't you guys tell us about it, and then I'll tell you why I call them that.
This is your great suburban nuclear family.
Yeah. The dad's watching TV, the mom's doing ironing.
And he's whistling.
He is whistling.
And the girls are watching TV. Well, one girl's watching TV, the other girl is on the table with a shotgun.
Shotgun or rifle?
Rifle, shotgun.
Things are happening very weird. So Josh, comes in and, sees her, and he's trying to talk to people in here like they're normal, but they're not responding. They're kind of just, in their own worlds and doing what they want. And then, the camera has a close-up of Josh, and then you hear the shotgun, and it shows the girl with the shotgun, and then you hear shotgun blast, and suddenly she's gone. And this is why I call them family annihilators, because essentially, in the world of true crime, the family annihilator is usually the dad. It is very rare to have the child be the family annihilator.
Yeah. It's a pretty dark scene. I wonder if it happened in real life.
Probably.
There's definitely got to be some stories.
I wouldn't discount children as a family annihilator. It is just super, super rare that it's not the father.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Pet Sematary.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And that dad is pretty creepy.
The whole family's creepy.
The shit-eating grins and...
Yeah.
Josh is running around, and then suddenly all of them are in his face with that smile.
And it's creepy. Because, like, their lips are gonna fall off of their freaking jaws.
And the majority of this is taking place in the old house that they had previously moved into before their current one.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think that if time doesn't exist here, the things that are happening were happening while they were there, and he's just going back to the replay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Like I said, time is kind of non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that could totally coexist.
Yeah.
Because he starts fighting the rapey guy.
After he leaves this family, he goes towards the red door.
There's like this red door that he's seen. I think it was one of his kids' drawings where there's like this shroud of darkness around the red door.
Yeah. So then he sees the rapey tongue guy.
Rapey tongue guy comes like out of nowhere.
Yeah. And they have a little scuffle. Because his body in the real world is like shaking. So Elise is like kind of pep talking him almost of like what to do.
She's like, stop shaking.
She's kind of just reminding him that he's the one in there who's alive. He has more strength than they do, so he's going to have more power than they have.
Once he hears that, like, he just gives a two-handed shove, and the guy goes flying.
They keep this whole theme of Star Wars, so he uses the Force.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's...
And his body stops shaking in the real world.
You're onto something. Was he a Jedi?
No, yeah, for sure.
He did give them lightsabers.
Huh.
That is true. See?
It's come full circle.
And now he's going to enter the red door. I do want to mention that when he goes through the red door, you do see the red room with the candles that we had seen previously.
Yeah, and you see, like, the horse, like, basically all these drawings that Dalton was alluding to.
Yes, it's like everything that he knows and has seen through his son drawings and everything that was kind of his wife mentioned with the rocking horse, he's kind of living in here.
And I just want to mention that where the further was shot, the place is super, super creepy, and it was the old building to the Herald Examiner building in Los Angeles. And that was the building where they reported in 1947 on the case of the Black Dahlia, which is still the most infamous cold case.
And this is when he finds Dalton chained to the floor, and we just hear Brian don't sing again, but the song Brian sang earlier.
Tiptoe! Dalton's chained up, he's crying. This place is full of candles, fog, stone gargoyle statues.
And the demon is just upstairs sharpening his... Is it his actual nail he's sharpening? Or does he... It is.
It's his nails. And I do also, Loki, want to mention, this demon is clearly a fan of just the most, like, chef's kiss, top-notch music. This demon is played by Joseph Bishara, who's the film's composer.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, and he produced the music for Insidious, and he's also acted in The Conjuring and Annabelle and Conjuring 2.
Oh, so he's just in this whole, like...
He's Juan's
Juan
guy.
universe, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, did you notice the aesthetic of the room?
Like the dolls.
The dolls and the bobbleheads, because...
He's got a thing for puppets.
Yeah.
He does. I have an idea, a theory, if you will, if you want to put on your tinfoil.
You know I love a conspiracy theory.
He loves bobbleheads. He's actually a collector.
So he's Dwight Schrute from The Office?
He goes into reality, steals bobbleheads and little boys, brings them back to fill out his collection of dolls and
I
bobbleheads.
thought we were trying to get away from Slender Man.
The only thing he doesn't do is turn them into trees. But no, because this way, he won't have it in the real world, but he'll be infamous around all the other entities.
I mean...
He's got all the dolls, all the bobbleheads, all the boys. No one's gonna have a better trade show selection than my man, the lipstick face demon.
I'm glad this movie didn't go your route, but if Slender Man had gone that route, it would have been a better movie.
This is why Brian's not in charge of rewrites.
Yeah. The bobblehead collection. So, I think Dalton mentions to Josh that the demon sees them.
Well, he's trying to get him out, and Josh is trying to pep talk the boy into helping him get himself out, because the kid's been there for a while. Like, we don't know how long Dalton thinks he's been there, because time doesn't exist here.
True.
So, he has no idea how long he's been here, and he's like, he's looking at us.
I found that creepy.
It was, because then doesn't he, like, appear, like, right behind them? Oh.
He sees them up there, like in his balcony-looking area by the window.
It's like gawking at them.
Yeah.
And then he looks to his left or right, and he's right there.
Yeah. So then Josh just, like, rips off Dalton's shackles, and they start, like, running. to get out of there.
I think the demon even knocks down the kid, but he kind of pushes them towards where his father is, so it kind of helps him out.
And as they're running, they start to run into, like, all of the spirits.
There's a plethora of them. You're gonna see the Annihilators, you're gonna see the woman with the white gown, the whole crew. Meanwhile, you get...
Little boy?
You do get a nice look into the red lipstick demon's eyes. He's got those amber cat eyes.
Yeah. Well, you get to see, like, his whole, like, body.
You get to see in him.
Not that far, but you see the whole body, and...
Just don't look in his eyes for too long.
You'll go mad.
Is he Medusa?
No, he's Slender Man.
Oh, God.
Speaking of eyes that go insane, don't ever look into Krabby's eyes.
The Pokemon?
You'll go insane.
Okay. Well, a lot of Pokemon references in the Insidious review.
It's because the universes coexist.
But we go back to the real world where things are starting to get a little weird at the house.
The house is like, it's like shaking, right? And like...
Yeah, so Elise tells Lorraine and Specs, I think, to go to Dalton's room.
Mm-hmm.
And Tucker, I don't really know where she tells Tucker to go, but he just kind of finds himself at a different place. He's just somehow in the kitchen or somewhere. Tells Renee to start saying to Josh to come back, and so she can be like a guide.
Follow my voice. Lead him back to the house. Follow my voice. Follow my voice. And then as Josh is bringing Dalton back, Dalton points out that he's hearing Mommy. Dalton actually hears it, which is interesting. So the house does stop shaking. Specs and Tucker turn on their flashlights and they hear a noise already mentioned. They search the house. Specs notices there's a drawer open.
Oh, that hand comes out of the drawer, right?
I hate when you open a drawer in the kitchen and there's just a hand that pops out.
It happens all the time.
What is this, Boku no Hero Academia? It's just hands everywhere.
Tucker, he starts to shine a light in Josh's face, right?
Yes.
I guess, is it kind of like to guide him to the light, almost? Would be like... I don't know why he would shine the light in his face otherwise, unless...
I think it was just to see if he's awake
awake yet,
because
okay.
Right before, like... I mean, at this point, before, like, Dalton or Josh wake up, the house is overflowing with all these ghosts trying to... I think they realize Dalton's on his way back to his body, and they're basically trying to get...
Bum rushed and get in, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get to that property before anyone else can, and try and take it for themselves.
Yeah, the closing's in 2 hours. Get your last bids in.
Right. And Josh and Dalton, they can't go through the front door, so they're going to go through the back door to try to get in the house. When they're back in the house, Dalton runs off. Josh looks off and he notices someone. He's like, you.
So he's looking in a mirror, and that's when he sees the woman in black. They do this like spinning camera where you see Josh, you see her.
And if you cut back to Dalton's part, he's opening a door, and when he opens the door, he sees the red-faced lipstick demon thing in the door.
You just call him Darth Maul.
He sees Darth Maul in the door. And Darth Maul, with these hooves, is able to kind of crawl on the wall. He does like a wall crawl.
He's just like a spider.
Yeah.
I hate spiders.
No one likes spiders.
Dalton does the most logical thing. He hides behind a bed, except he should have actually hid under the covers because he would have been safe in that regard. But the demon grabs him, and he runs. I think he jumps over the bed. He does like a nice little fly, because he could fly, this kid. Flies over the bed, lands, runs out. Demon chases him, I guess, through the house. And then I think it cuts back to Josh in the bathroom.
Yes.
Staring at the woman.
And Josh is just saying, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. But he should be.
Get away from me! Leave me alone!
And I think at this moment, after he's saying all this, is when he wakes up.
And Dalton wakes up too, doesn't he?
Yes, Dalton wakes up after him, and Lorraine sees that Dalton has woken up.
The camera works cool, too, because right when this happens, there's actually a POV shot of the camera, like, going into Josh. It's like, okay, now he just got into his own body. He's back.
They're back. Everyone's happy. Dalton's eating spaghetti.
What kind of spaghetti? Don't say that. Gotta be eating something tasty.
Long spaghetti?
SpaghettiOs. Wrong answer.
But he's not.
You're out of here. And you can't leave, actually, because I need you.
Go home, Shane.
It is kind of hot in here anyway.
It's baking.
But no, yeah, he's eating regular spaghetti.
Bullshit. But he's fine.
He is fine. He's perfectly fine. And so then we cut to Josh and Elise. And they're talking. And Elise kind of gets this, like, feeling.
Elise doesn't get the feeling until she makes contact with Josh.
That's right.
Hands her back the photos of him as a child because they don't want them. They want to essentially like forget about this whole experience. So he hands her the photos and they make contact. Then a shiver basically, you can tell like this shiver went down her spine and she reaches and puts the photos away and takes out a camera and snaps a photo of Josh. And then he loses his shit.
Yes, he just starts yelling, why? Why did you do that? Why? And then he just lunges at her and strangles her.
How hard is the choke, you think?
Very hard choke.
And I'm going to ask you both, because I'm going to point this out. What does he start saying to her
Why?
after that?
Oh.
I actually don't know.
That's a little graphic. He starts yelling at Elise. He starts yelling, "You bitch, you whore." And where have we heard that before? Where did we hear that last, boys?
You talking about when he was scribbling?
Yeah.
During the seance?
During the seance?
Yeah, during the seance, after they stopped talking to Dalton, and a demon was yelling at Elise, "You bitch, you whore." That's where I am pointing out to you both that Black Bride has never left Josh. She has been there the entire time, just in the background,
waiting,
watching and waiting, and she remembers Elise. She remembers Elise being there.
Yes, you're saying the New Age seance was for him almost.
It was almost like once Dalton went into the further, she knew she would have her chance again at getting Josh. Which is why that makes sense. She was the other person voicing to Elise, and now that she's out, she's saying the same thing she said.
That I did not pick up on.
So the red lipstick demon was already basically with Dalton at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That Black Bride was just waiting in the background, ready for her turn. And she's been there the entire movie. She's been in the shadows. And if you pay attention hard enough, she's been there the entire time. So that time where they're fighting over and Josh is yelling at her, "Leave me alone," it's just my guess that they were already over his body.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
I like
I
that.
thought we were getting like a Twin Peaks situation yelling at them.
I honestly really want to rewatch this movie now. Like, look at all these little details.
You want to eat SpaghettiOs. is what you want.
And we're nearly
Yeah.
at the end, so what happens?
The end is Renee comes in the room and she picks up the camera.
Elise is dead in a chair.
That's right. Duh.
And I'm going to argue that she actually did not die from strangulation. She died because she forgot to take her blood pressure pills.
Oh, that's a terrible argument.
Is this a rewrite?
Do me a favor. Prove to me that she died by strangulation.
The part of the movie where we watch her get strangled?
You technically see her die off camera, Shane.
She has the bruising on her neck.
She does. But is that what stopped the heart?
It stopped the oxygen, at least.
When did you become this conspiracy theorist?
This episode. This episode I put on the tinfoil.
Oh, I can't wait to do a movie about aliens with you.
Oh, we have some good ones we could do too. So you're right. Obviously, Renee notices the deceased Elise first, then picks up the camera, and she sees it's just, what is it exactly?
We go back to the flashback of Elise taking the photo and
That's
seeing
what
the
it is.
camera. It's just the Black
Black
Bride.
woman. Yeah.
Not the Black Woman, the Black Bride.
Yes. So you're right. Yes, she just sees the Black Bride, and then we roll to credits.
Well, Josh is behind her, though.
Yeah, hand on the shoulder.
He gives her, he's like, "I'm here, baby."
It's very loving. The sequel, it's just them having a great relationship together with no ghouls.
I don't know if that happens, but
Well, we'll have to find out when we do Insidious Part 2.
that's true.
Which we definitely will do.
Yeah.
And I will definitely watch more than once before we review it because I need to pay better attention.
It makes you think that all the movies that we watch, we probably missed a lot of shit.
Oh, yeah.
This movie was just so good, though, that it's seriously hard to believe that they wrapped this movie up about, 3 weeks after the start of the film date.
Wow.
Really?
That's a tight window.
I would expect that from, like a movie like Camp Blood, a
Or
3-week window.
You keep referencing that movie. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
No. Alright, if you're a horror fan and you know a lot, you know the Camp Blood series.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
You have to. There's 10 of them.
People that Camp Blood, they think of Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's true.
There's 10 of them, which is why I didn't watch them, so I don't know.
Well, if anyone's interested, there are Camp Bloods available to watch on both Tubi TV and Amazon
Okay,
Prime.
we are not sponsored, so stop.
So that's Insidious. A movie I watched twice. Once in 2010 when it came out, and once in 2020 to review this podcast, because I'm saying everything as literally as possible.
Okay.
I've watched it 15 times,
That's sick.
which is why I know almost every detail, except for, of course, what toys Josh gives his children.
Which we did figure out. I've seen this movie 3 times now. I saw it when it first came out. I probably saw it somewhere in the middle, and then I saw it yesterday. So,
And there's a lot to like in this movie. I mean, cast is great. The acting is superb. I think Patrick Wilson, especially Rose Byrne, probably is the shiner of the cast.
they're all excellent. Lin Shaye, she's only in the end, and she's so good in her role.
Lin Shaye is awesome. She's so awesome that I'm devoting our rating system of this movie, the Shaye meter, spooky shays. How many spooky shays are you giving this?
I'm giving this, I want to say, I'm going to give it 9 spooky shays.
Wow. You really like this film, Shane.
For its genre and just like the time period, it's like one of the scariest and best horror movies that's come out.
Yeah.
There's not many movies that come close to this. It's not like a perfect movie because obviously we point out some flaws, so you can't give it a 10, but it's as close to it as you can get, I think, for a horror movie. So I'm giving it 9 spooky shays out of 10.
Yeah, I agree for most of that. I think everything that is built up in this movie comes back. There's no plot left unturned, no spaghetti-o can left uneaten. Everything is taken care of. Acting, like I mentioned, is great. Cast is wonderful. I think the setting itself is interesting. I love this alternate world of the astral plane or the further, however you want to label it. It's got like this bluish hue to distinct itself from the real world. I think they did that really cool with the smoky haze, and honestly, it's pretty sick. I think the room with the candles and everything leading up to where our boy hides out, this is the red lipstick face demon, aka Darth Maul. I like this movie a lot. I give it 8 spooky shays out of 10.
My initial thought was also 8, even though this is one of my favorite horror movies. I could give it a 9, but I'm going to stick with my 8 rating just because of the depressive parent Hallmark like acting during when they find out that like Dalton's just asleep. Like, you know, we could have gone without a little bit of that, but I understand the purpose.
Yeah, my 9 also could have been because we just watched Truth or Dare and Slender Man.
I can't even put those in the ballpark of modern horror with this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this Insidious is such a step up.
A major step up. I don't know. People always compare this to The Conjuring. It's the same director.
I like this movie more than The Conjuring.
Me too. But they're both really good.
Just as a side note, for me, because I wasn't on the Slender Man episode, I watched that before I sent my research to you guys, and what's the first girl that goes missing, that actress?
Katie? Or the actress's name?
I thought she was overacting so much right before she got taken, and I was like, what is with this overachiever? And then later I find out how many other movies she's in, and I was like, well, shows how much I know about acting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fault her for that movie because she's barely in it. A movie she's in that she's pretty good in, if you haven't seen, Oculus.
Yeah,
yes!
That is a good movie.
She's the young girl in, like, the flashback. She's very good in that movie.
And I saw that, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
I watch every Katie Sackhoff movie, Shane.
They had quite a cast in that movie.
They did. Aaron Gillen was in it.
Surprising at how shitty it was.
I actually like Oculus.
No, I'm talking about Slender Man.
Oh, yeah, that movie sucks. That movie sucks.
I liked Oculus, too. We'll have to do that one.
That would be awesome.
I would definitely do Oculus. Too bad. We pretty much have our schedule set for the next 18 weeks.
It's okay. We're getting into spooky season.
I can't wait.
It's getting into spooky season, and we have some ghoulish things planned.
Planned for Halloween, yes we do. But we got about 7 more weeks worth of movies to do before that. So next week, we got another good one. At least we think it's a good one.
It's a traumatizing one, is what it is.
The next movie we're doing is Final Destination.
A movie that you can watch. Shane, where can you watch it?
You Google it, you can find it.
I like that idea. Watch the movie. Came out in 2000.
I mean, you can buy it or rent it nearly anywhere now. It's not one of those movies that's hard to find.
It definitely isn't.
If you're scared of dying, maybe just listen to us and don't give it a watch.
And if you're scared of girls that are supposed to be named Claire but are really named Clear, stay clear of that film. That's a you joke.
It is a me joke.
Her name upsets me.
I want to thank Jen for coming on.
Forget about Jen.
I'll be honest, I think I did that when we were talking to Mike G too, and you had to interrupt me.
1000%.
That's what I do.
So Jen, I'd like to thank you for coming on to Guys What a Necronomicon. You're going to be on a lot, so this won't be a flash in the pan for you.
I'll be texting you, correcting you often.
That's fair.
Well, she's got to teach you how to pronounce words correctly.
I'm having just too much fun, like, saying into the mic which word you're, like, overpronouncing. I don't even want you to stop.
But yes, like Brian said, thank you for coming on. Thank you for helping us and giving us information for each episode we've done.
Been fun.
This was a good one.
Horror's awesome.
Being scared is fun.
That's why you're going to do the scariest haunted house. We're going to do a promotional episode where Shane goes into Macamee Manor.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Wait, can you just do, like, the horror walkthrough with Ellen's producer? That would be funny.
Oh,
I think that's scarier than any haunted house.
We'll tweet Ellen.
Oh.
Spooky season!
Yay!
Yeah, but you can catch him because nobody has been able to get through this and cross the finish line of his haunted house. Shane is going to attempt it.
No, I'm not.
He's going to do it!
No, he just kind of tortures you for like 10 hours.
He just screams in your ear, but it's so funny.
Yeah, so I'm not doing that. And that's that. But we will be reviewing haunted house themed horror movies in October. But like I said, that's still 2 months away. Final Destination is our next movie. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jen, for being on. We are 2 guys, 1 Necronomicon, signing off, and we will see you next week on the airplane to Paris. And if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook at 2 Guys 1 Necronomicon. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2 Guys 1 Necro. Also, if you can, and if you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, please throw us a rating on there. 1 star, 5 star, whatever it is, just let us know your feedback. Thank you very much.